brought a couple gifts for us to look at. But first of all, just by looking at what you see, do you have an idea of maybe what we're going to be learning about?
Maybe symbols.
Maybe symbols? Okay, first of all, I learned a little bit about you in class. So I know that you enjoy gymnastics and you like music too, right? Do you play an instrument?
No.
No? Do you like to sing? Perfect. I didn't know that, but I knew that you liked music. But I have one more question for you. Do you like pumpkin cookies? Excellent. So I brought a couple for us today. And the point of our lesson, this is going to be an experiment for us. So I'm going to have one, and you're going to have the other. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a bite, and I want you to tell me when you think digestion begins. Does that sound good? Okay. Right now? Okay. Now I want you to go, and I'll tell you when I think digestion begins. Right now. Oh my goodness sakes. How come I said it earlier than you? Do you have an idea? So why did you say now when you did?
Since when you swallowed.
When I swallowed? Okay. So when I take a look at this picture, you're telling me you think digestion is happening as soon as I swallow it? Now where would that be going to? Do you know?
To the throat.
To the throat, and then where does it go after the throat?
To the stomach.
To the stomach. Very good. So what I want to talk about today with you is a little bit about nutrition and why it's important. So I know that you enjoy gymnastics, so I want to come up with the best snacks for you to eat so that you can do really good at gymnastics, and you'll know why they're good, and you can come up with some on your own. Does that sound good? Okay, so we're going to talk about 3 different types of food, and I'll let you pick which order we go in. Does that sound okay? So we can talk about either fats, or we can talk about sugar, or we can talk about protein.
Protein.
Protein first? Okay, so why did you pick protein first? Just because? Perfect. So what can you tell me that you already know about protein? Do you know much about it?
There's lots of protein in eggs.
In eggs? Do you know other foods that have protein?
Some granola bars.
Good. So the food sources that we get protein from are like eggs, that's an animal product. So any sort of meat or like cheese, milk, things that come from animals, that will have protein in them. So why would protein then be important for our bodies? Do you know what protein does in your body? Great, we're going to learn about it. So for gymnastics, you use a lot of your muscles, right? So it takes protein to build our muscles. So it's very important for us to eat protein, because when we eat protein, it can go through our bodies and it can make our muscles better than they are already, builds our muscles. Now let's think about when you ate your cookie, right? You chewed it and that broke it down a little bit, and then it goes to our stomach, right? In the stomach, it starts to get broken down. But protein is pretty complex. It's kind of like this string. You can't really break it down. So if I give you this string, and I'll do it with you. So if I were to try to break it down just by tugging on it, you can tug on yours too. You can't really break it down, right? What your body does is it has an enzyme. Have you heard what an enzyme is? An enzyme is something in your body that makes things happen, but it makes them happen quicker. So if I asked you, Charity, I want you to break it apart. If I give you long enough, you could probably do it. But we have enzymes in our bodies to help us break it down. So I'll give you the enzyme. I want you to show me how you break the protein down. Good. And then break it down again. Good. And one more time. Very good. So this is all happening in our stomach. Now the protein is all broken down so that we can use it. Now, do you know where it goes after the stomach? It goes into this part of your body right here called the small intestine. And that's where all these proteins that are broken down, they go there, and that's where our body absorbs it, and it can go to all our muscles and help build our muscles so you can do even better at gymnastics. So if muscle builds protein builds your muscle. When do you think would be a good time to eat protein? Do you have an idea?
At breakfast.
At breakfast, that's a good one. Do you have snacks during your gymnastics meets?
Or practices, yeah.
In practices, what kind of foods do you eat during your practice?
Usually fruit.
Okay.
Grain.
Excellent. So protein is going to be really good for you to eat after your gymnastics, because what did we say protein does in your body?
Builds your muscles.
It builds your muscle. So if you're working so hard in gymnastics using your muscles, and then if you don't eat some protein, your muscle isn't going to be able to build. So if you eat protein after your gymnastics meets, you'll be able to keep your muscles strong and you'll be able to do even better. So what did we say, what foods have protein in them?
Eggs or foods from
Animals, exactly. It's like this string cheese, right? Cheese comes from milk, which comes from cows. This will have protein in it. So protein will be really good for you to eat after gymnastics. Help build your muscles. Great. So that's protein. Now we have fat and sugar left. Fat? Okay. So we talked about with protein how it needs that enzyme to break it down. Well, fat also needs an enzyme. So we're going to do a little experiment. I want you to take this water and pour a little bit of water into this glass. That's good. All right, now take this oil. Take that oil and pour a little bit into the glass. And I'll hold it so it stays steady. Good. All right, now let's take a look at what's happening. Can you tell me what's going on?
The oil stays at the top.
It's not mixing with the water, is it? How about take a spoon? Maybe that'll help mix it. Stir it all up. Now pull it out. Now what's happening? Is it still staying on top? Right. So in our stomach, when fat goes inside there, it's not really mixing. It's doing this exact thing. And what it needs is, do you remember what this was called? Enzyme, exactly. It needs an enzyme so it can be absorbed. So take this soap and add some of it into that mixture. Good. Now take your spoon and stir it up and let's see what happens. Stir it up nice and good. There you go. Now what's happening? It mixed. Exactly. So our bodies have an enzyme for fat so that it can be digested. Now, what did we say protein was used for?
To
build your muscles. Fat is used to give us energy. So some people think, well, if you eat fat, it's bad. But it's only bad if you eat too much. But fat is a really good source of energy. Well, let's talk about what kind of energy it gives you. If you take a look at this graph, it looks like the energy is pretty long lasting, but it doesn't get up very quick, does it? So fat, is it going to give you long amounts of energy or is it going to be short amounts, according to this?
Long.
It's going to give you long energy, right? But how long does it take? Does it take a long time or does it take a short amount of time? It takes a longer amount of time. So it takes a little longer for fat to get digested in the stomach, and then those nutrients are absorbed again in the small intestine, and we can use it as energy. So then this leads right into sugar. You ready to talk about sugar? Okay, I have two forms of sugar for you. So let's talk about the sugar that we ate in the cookie and this sugar in this apple. Did you know that apples have sugar? And the other fruits that you eat at gymnastics meets? Good. So when you make cookies with your mom, do you ever help your mom make cookies? You usually add sugar, right? Well, that sugar is really simple sugar. So we talked about how protein needs to be broken down. We talked about how fat needs to be broken down with the other enzyme, right? Well, simple sugars, like the cookie we ate, they don't need to be broken down very much because they're simple. So when we eat them and they go in the stomach, they don't need to be broken down so much because they're not so complex. So then when they go into the small intestine, they get absorbed really quick and it's really quick energy. So if you take a look at this graph, the simple sugar is a lot like this. So we don't have a lot of energy if we take And let's say we eat like a Hershey Kiss. That gives us lots of energy, really quick, but it doesn't last very long, does it? Because it's really simple. So when you take a look at this sugar, do you think this is more complex or more simple?
More complex.
More complex, right. So, but the thing is, it's still sugar, right? So what kind of energy is it going to give you? If it's quick energy, just like the sugar that was simple, and it's also sugar, is it going to be quick or is it going to take a long time like that? It'll last a long time, but it's actually going to be quick too. So when you eat fruit at your gymnastics meets, you eat that because it's really quick energy. So your body, it digests it fast. But it is more complex, so it's going to last longer than, let's say, the simple sugar that we ate with our pumpkin cookie. Does that make sense? So sugar also needs to be broken down to be into more simple sugars like your pumpkin cookie. So where's that other string that you had? Do you have the green one? So let's say that that's a complex sugar, and we need to get it down into the simple sugars. So I'll hold it, and what do we need to break it down? What's the scissors called? What do the scissors stand for? Enzyme. So you break down that complex sugar, and then it can be simple, and it can be digested right here in the small intestine. Does that make sense? Okay, so now let's move on to our final present, which is your gymnastics. So tell me about the things you eat during gymnastics meets. You said fruit. Grains. And specifically, what are things you eat? Do you eat crackers or granola bars?
Crackers and
Excellent. So now let's talk about why it is that you eat those things. So the fruit, let's talk about the fruit. Why would fruit be a good thing for you to eat during gymnastics?
Because it gives you energy quick.
It's quick, huh?
Lasts a long time.
It is, and it does last a long time. Now, why does it last